So the first thing I want to talk about is this is a little bit of an update towards the projected revenue that we presented at the previous meeting. This is what we think the property tax, in fact we know this is where the property taxes will end. This number is not going to change between now and the final end of the budget. This is the calculation for how Proposition 2.5 works. It allows for the 2.5% growth of the levy and the new growth calculated by the Board of Assessors. And as you can see, new growth is still looking pretty healthy. That number for new growth is the 5-year average. So we factored out the highs of Thermo Fisher and CRG. So it's not to assume that we'll get those kinds of things anytime soon. And of course, there's the debt exclusion for the town, the sewer, and there's the unused levy capacity, which I'd like to point out to you will be 0. State aid, we're still being relatively conservative. We are seeing some movement from the state to increase unrestricted general government aid, possible increase in school bus support that may change the number for the schools. There's also a movement and a bill filed to increase the state-owned land contribution, so we might see some movement on that. We still may see some changes in the pilots. We're still auditing the pilot plans to make sure that we have the right number, and so I don't think we'll, the numbers that you see for Medicaid reimbursement, Medicaid reimbursement, licensing permits, we're pretty sure that those will be firm. On the recap, this would be other sources of funds. This is important to note that we're still working on the indirect costs from the enterprise funds. In fact, we found a change today, so that number will be it will be changing as we go forward. We are projecting, of course, an increase in property taxes, state aid, local receipts, and reduction in other sources of funds. So we're seeing that we'll see a revenue number of 1.7 million additional funding, and you think that should be good? Let me show you how fast it goes. So in the budget and the expenses, I'm knocking out $5,000 out of the consulting services line in the select board's budget, recommending that the town clerk's budget be increased to allow for the transitional position. Add that position to, that's an extra $48,000. Planning and development, we're actually going to create the budget for planning and development and take it out of the selectmen's line. So you see a small change there, about $3,500. The fire department, we worked with the chief, so we have a reduction in sick and bereavement replacement, injured on duty replacement, full-time training replacement. So we're going to be running certain shifts without replacement staffing, so that will cut his budget by $71,500. In the public schools, the operating budget is at 3%. So the total increase in expenses is here. Surprisingly, the total expenses $1,764,000, which represents a 4.78% increase. You see, this is general government. We've broken this into the principal areas of accounting under the Department of Revenue guidelines.